Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. You know, right now, as millions of cars are just casually cruising down the street, their engines are quietly orchestrating thousands of controlled explosions every single minute. It's wild to think about. Today, we're going to dive right into one of the most fascinating mechanical marvels in human history, the internal combustion engine. More specifically, we're breaking down the four-stroke engine. If you've ever stopped to wonder what exactly is happening under the hood of your car, well, you are in the perfect place. We're going to look at the mechanics, the history, and just the pure engineering genius that makes all of modern transportation possible.
I want you to really think about this for a second. How does a simple puddle of liquid fuel actually transform into the sheer, raw mechanical motion that propels thousands of pounds of heavy steel down a highway? Honestly, it kind of sounds like magic, doesn't it? But it's actually just this incredibly brilliant, elegant solution to a really complex physics problem. By burning fuel in a highly controlled, tightly enclosed space, we can harness all that crazy expanding pressure to create movement.
So here's our game plan for today. Number 1, anatomy of an engine. Number 2, the four strokes explained. 3, the history of the engine. And 4, the pros and cons.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Anatomy of an Engine. A look inside the machine.
Okay, so the ultimate goal of any engine is just translating one type of motion into another type of motion. Let's look at the core parts of a basic one-cylinder engine. First, we have the cylinder, which basically acts like a big stationary metal can. Inside of that sits the piston, which is like a movable plug. When the fuel burns, it pushes this piston in a straight line back and forth motion, just up and down, up and down. But, car wheels don't just hop up and down, right? They spin. And that is exactly where the connecting rod and the crankshaft come in. The connecting rod links that straight line motion of the piston to the offset throw of the crankshaft. So as the piston shoves down and pulls up, it forces the crankshaft to travel in a circle. It brilliantly changes that up and down, reciprocating motion into the smooth rotary motion we actually need to drive a vehicle. Now, to really grasp the timing of all these movements, we've kind of got to set some spatial boundaries. We've got top dead center, or TDC, which is literally the absolute highest point the piston can possibly reach. And then we have bottom dead center, BDC, which is the lowest limit. The piston is strictly trapped traveling just between these 2 points. Oh, and a really crucial detail here, the piston fits incredibly snugly inside the cylinder, usually with the help of piston rings. This super tight fit is an absolute must. It stops lubricating oil from sneaking up into the combustion chamber, and it also prevents the explosive pressure of the gases from blowing downward past the piston. That's how the engine maintains its compression.
Moving right along to Section 2, the heartbeat, the four strokes explained.
This whole process is this beautiful, dynamic, rhythmic cycle where all the parts we just talked about work together in perfect mechanical harmony. It's almost like the engine is breathing. The whole operation is broken down into 4 distinct steps or strokes, and a stroke is just one full trip of the piston, either from top to bottom or bottom to top. Knocking out all 4 of these strokes completes one full operating cycle for the engine, so let's break them down, one by one.
All right, stroke number 1, intake. Just picture the engine taking a massive, deep breath in. The piston starts up at top dead center and moves down to bottom dead center. Because the cylinder is perfectly sealed, that downward drop creates a vacuum, and at exactly that right millisecond, a camshaft opens the inlet valve at the top. That vacuum forcefully sucks in a perfectly measured mix of air and fuel. Once that piston hits the bottom, boom, the engine is fully loaded and ready to go.
Next up, stroke 2, compression. That inlet valve snaps shut, meaning the cylinder is now completely sealed off. No way in, no way out. The crankshaft keeps spinning, which pushes the piston back up from bottom dead center to top dead center. Since that air-fuel mix has nowhere to escape, it just gets squeezed down into a tiny, tiny fraction of its original volume. This compression is huge because squeezing those gases drastically spikes their density and temperature. It basically creates the absolute perfect volatile environment for a super efficient burn.
And here we go, the main event. Stroke 3, the power stroke. Right as that piston hits maximum compression up at top dead center, an electrical spark plug fires. Or if it's a diesel engine, the insane heat of the compression itself actually does the job. But either way, boom, the fuel ignites. With those valves closed tight, these violently expanding gases have literally only one place to go, and that is shoving the piston right back down to bottom dead center. That downward thrust right there, that is the actual sheer mechanical force that spins your crankshaft and powers your car. Finally, we hit stroke 4, exhaust. The energy's been completely spent, and the cylinder is just left filled with all these useless, hot, burned-up gases. As the crankshaft carries its momentum forward, it pushes the piston back up to top dead center one last time. But now the camshaft pops the exhaust valve open. So that rising piston essentially acts like a broom, just sweeping and forcing all those spent gases right out of the exhaust port. It leaves the cylinder totally empty, clean, and perfectly primed to start the intake stroke all over again. Okay, so why is this number, 2, so crucial? Well, because it takes exactly 2 full rotations of the crankshaft to complete all 4 of those strokes. Think about it. The piston goes down, up, down, up. That is 2 complete 360-degree spins of the crankshaft to generate just one single pulse of power. Keep that in the back of your mind because it's kind of the secret sauce when we start talking about engine efficiency in a minute.
Which brings us to Section 3, History of the Engine, a centuries-long evolution.
Before we get into all the modern specs, let's zoom out a bit and appreciate how we actually got here. This wasn't just invented overnight. The conceptual roots actually stretch way back to the year 1206 with this brilliant Muslim scientist named Al-Jazari. He was designing these early mechanical devices and water pumps that were the very first to translate motion in ways that became foundational for engine mechanics. Centuries later, those ideas sparked new engineering imaginations over in Europe. By 1854, Eugenio Barsanti and Felice Matteucci built an early working prototype. Then, in 1862, a French engineer named Alphonse Beau de Rochas independently conceptualized the actual 4-stroke cycle on paper. And finally, in 1876, the German engineer Nicholas Otto actually built a highly functional 4-stroke engine. It's just this incredible, centuries-long relay race of human innovation. Turns out, figuring out how to perfectly time explosions in a metal can takes about 600 years of trial and error.
And finally, Section 4, Pros and Cons, weighing the real-world applications.
So, here is a really fair question to ask. If a 4-stroke engine is only actually making a power stroke on 1 out of every 4 movements, literally just 25% of the time, why on earth is it the dominant engine in our world today? Well, to answer that, we kind of have to compare it to its main rival, the 2-stroke engine.
The trade-offs become pretty obvious when you look at the comparison. Yeah, absolutely. A 2-stroke engine fires way more often. You get a power stroke every 2 movements instead of 4. It's lighter, it's simpler, and it's definitely cheaper to fix because it doesn't have all those heavy camshafts and complicated valves. But look at the 4-stroke. Because it has those dedicated, mechanically controlled valves, it is so much quieter. 2-strokes just have open exhaust ports, meaning those gases explode out violently and loudly. You've probably heard it. It's that classic super loud, buzzing dirt bike sound. The 4-stroke might be heavier and a bit pricier to maintain, but the trade-off is a remarkably smooth, controlled, and quiet ride.
But honestly, the biggest advantage of the 4-stroke is right here, efficiency and emissions. Because of that dedicated compression stroke and those tightly controlled valves, a 4-stroke squeezes maximum energy out of every single drop of fuel. Plus, and this is huge, unlike a 2-stroke, you don't have to mix raw lubricating oil right into your gas tank. Burning pure fuel without dumping oil into the combustion chamber means a drastically lower carbon footprint. This efficiency and incredibly clean exhaust are exactly why 4-strokes easily meet super strict environmental regulations, like the Euro 2 and Euro 5 standards. They are, at the end of the day, just much cleaner machines.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, you can really see that the 4-stroke engine is basically the ultimate balancing act. Sure, it trades away a little bit of simplicity and weight, but in return, it gives us incredibly efficient, smooth, and clean power. It's an idea born hundreds of years ago that has just been continuously perfected into the totally reliable beating heart of modern transportation. I'm going to leave you with this. The next time you hop in your car and turn that key or fire up a motorcycle, just take 1 second to picture what's actually happening right underneath you. Will you be able to feel the rhythm of that heartbeat? Intake, compression, power, exhaust, happening thousands of times every single minute. It's physics, history, and pure engineering all firing perfectly in sync. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and we'll catch you on the next explainer.